Recently, you guys announced a partnership with the Dan Patrick Show, which, for those who don't know, is a sports talk show that's been around since 2007. It's hosted by former ESPN anchor Dan Patrick. Will you explain that partnership as well as your approach to partnering with more traditional media companies? Because I think this is a really something that you guys do very different, but do it very well.
Yeah, we're excited about the Dan Patrick iHeart partnership. It was out of the box for us. Before we have really owned all the distribution of our content, we had a direct sales team, so we were the ones monetizing, and for the most part, we still are. But we really wanted to give this partnership a shot and try to integrate our content into other platforms and distribution. So, how the deal works is they are fully licensing two of our shows. Wake and Jake, it's like a general sports show, and then Jimmy's Three Things is a deep dive, like baseball analysis. And it's part of the Dan Patrick Network on iHeart. So that means that it goes into their RSS feeds. So you'll see like the Dan Patrick has one RSS feed. And for those of you who don't know what RSS feed, it's just like the feed where you go listen to your podcasts. And they will drop our shows on that feed. So I think for both of us, it is introducing us to a new audience that's never seen our content before, but a very like-minded audience. And that's why we loved it so much, because our brand is so important to us. And Dan Patrick is the same, like, let's have fun, let's enjoy sports. I think
Yeah,
he was
relaxed.
relaxed.
Yeah,
Yeah. And he was the OG of it, right? So now it's like
totally.
we get to mix our two communities, and that's really exciting for us. We also get to learn how a major podcast network runs their business, right? And how do they promote shows? How do they sell ads? And I think we do it our own way. We probably, are not going to change that much, but we're taking little learnings and tweaks and integrating it into what we do. So that's been super helpful for us as well.
And what, if you can share any learnings so far? I know the partnership is relatively
Yeah.
new, but any learnings so far, just working with iHeart Podcast, the Dan Patrick team, what have you guys taken away and maybe tried to implement on the Jomboy side?
The feed drops we were really impressed with the results. So we focus a lot of our content creation video first. So we're always thinking about YouTube, the YouTube version of the show, and how we can monetize that. And I think they're kind of flipped. They're thinking about the audio only version of the show, right? So it's like two different mindsets. And when we dropped Wake and Jake on the Dan Patrick RSS feed, on the audio side of the house, before we did this partnership, Wake and Jake was getting 5,000 listens an episode because the audio is kind of an afterthought for us. And the first time they did the feed drop, the episode went up to 30,000 listens in 1 or 2 days. And then we're like, okay, like maybe it's going to go away. Like this is just like the first time. And they did again, and it kept on growing. So we're like, wow, that is really a way to get to a new audience and introduce them to a podcast. So we actually started doing a Jomboy media feed. And it's this centralized place that has all of our baseball podcasts. So if you're a baseball fan, you like our content, you can go in there and you'll see now like Talking Yanks, Talking Baseball, Shea Station, and it's just an aggregate of all of our shows.
Wow. Yeah, that's a massive learning. Are there any other ways you're thinking about mixing John Boy with traditional media? I know you guys work
Hmm.
with Chris Rose, you work with on-air talent that is at bigger, ESPN or
Yeah.
NBC, and they come over and work with you guys. It's such a great opportunity, but how else are you thinking about it in the future with mixing both?
Yeah. So the way we're thinking about it is how can we both bring something to the table? Us being a young creator led sports media company, these bigger companies being established, having a lot more resources, having wider distribution, I think it will make for a fruitful partnership. What I'm excited about is that I think the tune has changed a little bit and there's more flexibility now on both sides. So it's not like who's going to win and who's going to like, migrate the community. You've seen in the past, like, even like Spotify did those deals where like Call Her Daddy and they were like exclusive to Spotify, and they're expecting all of the community to migrate over and kind of like hoard the audience. And now I think you're going to see more flexibility in deals moving forward. And that's the kind of deals that we're excited about is how can we keep our community intact because we built this great robust community on digital platforms, but how can we start to integrate it into what you're doing on these more traditional networks? Yeah, so that's kind of how we're approaching. We have some deals in the works right now, and I think you're going to see some unique stuff moving forward of what more of the blend of communities rather than like
Sure.
let's just try and move everyone over.
And have you seen any pushback from those bigger companies? You guys are creator first, creator led. Do they view that as a really big positive? Have you had to have some conversations on that front? How are they kind of looking at being creator led
Yeah.
versus it's just very different on the the ESPN side, the NBC side, how they approach talent?
No, I think they're looking at it as such a positive, and they know that creators have are so impactful in the space right now, and the influence that they have over the communities. I think that that is all being validated right now. So I think it's more of we're so untraditional. It's how do I wrap my head around what to do with you, right? Like, and what is your content? Like, how do you distribute it? And we're doing silly games in the warehouse. So even to like wrap your head around like you invented a game and
Yeah.
50,000 people tune into a game that you invented and made up the rules. Like it's mind blowing to us sometimes. And then even the more traditional networks, they're trying to figure it out.
And